What's up today, guys? The boss finally broke down, bought me a new GMC truck. I've been asking and begging him for one for years. We've had a whole bunch of Fords now, so now we finally get a GMC. This one isn't quite as loaded up as the rest of them that we bought, but this is my new work truck. We're doing a long trip today, so we're gonna see what this thing actually gets for fuel mileage. I've almost got the first 1,000 kilometers onto it. We just picked this thing up on Friday. The dash is showing me that I'm averaging 15.3 liters per 100, but I filled this thing up this morning. It's got a fairly big tank onto it. I'm quite sure, I'd had to check the receipt, but I think I pumped 120 or 130 liters into it. So far, I've got 236 kilometers onto it with me driving it. And since I filled it this morning, and the gas hand's barely off the full mark, so I'm curious to see if it stays that consistent as it drops. So I'm not beating and smashing onto it. I'm just driving the thing normally. We're on the highway. We are going to have some side road driving, but for the most part, it's going to be all highway driving. There's not going to be too many places that I'm going to be going under 80 kilometers an hour, we'll say. But I'm curious to see how good this new 6.6 is on fuel, because the truck's fairly large. It's got pretty big running gear, and running along on the highway, it's not lazy at all. It's got pretty good get up and go. Very, very quiet, but it operates very smooth at the same time. Like, you hardly even feel the shifts. It's not ridiculous powerful. It's a gas engine in a big truck, so it's nothing like my 496 or anything like that. But this is bone stock, nothing played with. I'm sure an exhaust and an intake could have pretty good improvements. But what we're after is we want to know how many kilometers this gets to a tank. And it's got a big tank onto it, so we'll break it down and figure out, liters per 100 kilometers as well. It's showing me 15.5, but we're only early into this trip, and I had to make a few stops on the way, so we'll see what we get over the course of this whole entire tank, and we'll be back when we fill her up and we'll do a report on it. So we've hit over 1,000 kilometers now. I've got 1,067 on the clock. So far, I have burned about a quarter of a tank, and it's I got 360 kilometers on it so far, so it's doing pretty good actually, if it keeps that up. Another thing I noticed with this truck, now that I've been driving it on the highway a bit, is the bars for the speedometer are really, like, it counts by 20s, and the fatter bars really aren't a whole bunch fatter than the little bars. And at a quick glance, 120 is kind of lined up more with 130 when you're driving along just looking down at it, and 150 and 140 is lined up almost perfect. So I've noticed, especially on the downhills, this thing really wants to just roll along, and you don't have much perception of how fast you're actually going. Like, it crept up, I was doing almost 140 and didn't even realize it. So it's very smooth and quiet on the highway. The mirrors, they kind of look funny when you first get in the truck and look at them, but they've actually got a nice wide field of view. And even the bottom mirror you can see out of it really clearly. It's not as reduced as a lot of them are, which will be nice, you know, later on when we get the trailer hooked to it and stuff. See there, I'm up to 130 and I'm not even meaning to do this. So I think I'm just gonna set the cruise back. Because this thing just wants to fly down the hills. I'm getting a little closer to the destination, but like I said, first quarter of the tank, almost 363 kilometers now. So if it keeps that up, it should be a pretty good truck. We'll see you a little later in the trip. So we're just doing a little bit of country road driving now, and I slipped the computer over to the trip 2 and reset it just to play around, because I figured this truck was very similar to our Ford, even though the Ford's a diesel. So on the highway running at like 115 to 125 kilometers an hour, it was showing me like high 14s touching on 15 for liters per 100 kilometers. Now that we're poking along in this country road between like 80 and 90, it's showing me 13.6, and I've been on this road now for 36 kilometers or so, so it's a pretty good average on that number. So yeah, I mean, for the size of these trucks and the running gear, and it's, you know, essentially just a small gas engine, it's not like it's a big block. This thing has no trouble to shove itself along. And I also notice driving along, when you hit a hill and you start ascending, going up, the truck does a really good job at maintaining itself in high gear. It's got really good low end torque for a small engine. Most of the time this thing will hold its speed no trouble at all and not even drop a gear, and you don't even really got to push on the pedal much extra. They're a pretty good working truck, I'll say that. We're just getting up to I got 1125 on the clock now, boys and girls. And so far today, since I filled it up, I've got 416 on the tank. So we'll keep trucking along and keep you posted, and hopefully before the end of the day we'll reach a gas station and have this thing just about empty. So you guys can see it there. Road was a little bumpier. So driving at 90 kilometers an hour, I've actually got it down to 12.8. And we've got almost 70 kilometers on there, so that's probably about as good a fuel mileage as you're going to get out of this until you either open the exhaust up or give it a better breathing system. So we're just going to leave that at that, and maybe in the future we'll have that better breathing system. But 12.8 in a gas truck this size, poking along on number 3 roads, is not really a horrible number. So take that into consideration. And we're still trucking, guys. We're down to almost our last quarter of a tank. I've got 615 on the clock. I've now been on the road for over 12 hours. It's been a long day. I still got quite a ways to go before I get to my destination. But where I'm going, there isn't many gas stations. So I'm probably going to cut this video short. Instead of running the tank right down to nothing, I'm probably just going to when I enter Cape Breton, I'm gonna probably go to the gas station, fill it up, and head to my hotel for the night. But not quite a quarter of a tank, still over a quarter of a tank rather, and over 600 kilometers on the truck, so pretty impressive. It's showing me it's averaging 15.4 over the whole course of driving. We've been on the highway, we've been on country roads, and we've even went up a mountain probably 20 kilometers to a site, so a good variety of driving over the course of the tank. Obviously all highway driving, this number could be improved, but this is a realistic number. Using the truck as a work truck, you know, we're cruising highway speeds, we're not sissing onto it, so I'm pretty impressed with it. It rides a little rough, but it seems to be all right on fuel for a big truck. All right, guys, 696 kilometers, and we've burned 105 liters of fuel. So that's actually pretty good, because if you round that up to 700, usually trucks like this size with a gas engine is about 20 bucks, 20 liters per 100 kilometers. So this is actually getting like quite a bit better than that, because if it was 20 liters per 100, we would be at 140 liters. We only burn 105, so that's not horrible for a big gas truck. So I just wanted to stop and show you guys this. I'm up on a mountain, beautiful view here. This is the second mountain we climbed in the 2021 GMC. But there's actually a rock quarry or gravel pit at the top of this hill, and they had to pave it because it's so steep that the dump trucks can't even get up it. And I gotta say, this is pretty crazy. These guys are driving dump trucks down this mountain, which it's straining my legs just to walk up this. It's that much of a grade right here. But look at this. There's no guardrail here. And this is like a friggin' 70-80 foot bank with not a tree big enough to stop a dump truck. Like, that is just crazy. These guys coming down that must have balls of steel. Pretty rough country up here in the highlands of Cape Breton.
Football games, falling leaves made for falling in. Front porch steps made for good night kissing out.
Pretty incredible scenery up here, guys. This is what they call Cape Smokey. That car down there looks like a little dot. Way over here. Just S-turn after S-turn after S-turn. Truck handles nice. Came from up there. There you go. So this thing isn't great in the drive-thru. There's a big concrete curb here in front of me and you can't even see it. almost 13 hours here on my second day on the road with this thing. And we've been on this dirt road now for like 20 kilometers. It's called Lochland Road. Way down the bottom right corner of Cape Breton. And the truck handles awesome on dirt. It's nice and solid feeling, even with these no good for nothing tires. It's handling the turns well. It's not trying to slip and slide. You can hear the rocks hitting the inner wheel wells and stuff. It's a little bit noisy, but whatever. Yeah, we've got about 14, 15 more kilometers on this road before we come out. So, truck's got almost 1900 on it now. And we're getting down to almost a quarter of a tank on our second tank. Which only has 484 onto it, but we climbed a lot of mountains today, four-wheel drive. Went through the highlands, which is twisty and turny, and you're not going very fast, so you're not going to get fuel mileage. So this second tank is, you know, borderline what it would be if you're towing with it, probably. The up and down roads up here are pretty demanding on the truck. I gotta say, even though this is a long dirt road, it's like probably 50-60 kilometers. It's smooth. Like, I'm running this truck along 90 kilometers an hour, even around the corners, probably 80. And they've actually got this road in pretty good shape, and it's super wide. Oh yeah, not many dirt roads in our province you can drive at highway speeds in a normal truck. 6.6, just loving her start of her life. Okay guys, sorry for the glare, but we've got 566 on the clock. 566. We were working her quite a bit harder today, and we burnt 105 liters, 105 and a half liters again. So not great, but we're still under 20 and we were using it, so what more can you say?